We turned some of the most famous Christmas carols into an epic super carol, and I've documented the whole thing. We're going to show you every step of the process, from initial ideas to writing, production, recording, every step. How we made decisions, how we made mistakes, and how we ultimately came to create this huge symphonic Christmas carol. So I woke up to so many texts from Cameron this morning. This is Cameron. Cameron is an insanely well-trained pianist and singer, and this year he's been obsessed with taking well-known songs and putting amazingly virtuosic twists on them. At the beginning of the year, both of us had talked about writing something for Christmas, but as both of us had busy calendars, that line went dead until November, leaving us an incredibly tight timeline to get this done. And judging by all the texts he's just sent me, he's going through the ideation phase. The first step in most music projects is the ideation phase. So I've received literally dozens of texts from Cameron, and I can tell he's going through ideation.
Switching the melody to like a minor one.
It's this creative process where ideas come fast and furious.
There's so many!
Nothing is off the table.
Spider-Man.
Any idea is valid, you're just letting your creativity flow. And it's quite contagious too.
Oh, that's Whoa.
So I guess there's nothing left for me to do except listen.
And suddenly this kind of like beam of sunlight comes across the manger. We want something that sounds like way more apocalyptic at the end. And you can just stick in as many like quotes from other carols as you can.
So the core of it, let's use O Holy Night. In one section, let's see how many other Christmas carols and references to other songs we can pull in there.
It's the beginning of November now. For Spotify, we need to upload it at least 2 weeks in advance. So we've got to write it, we've got to produce it, we've got to record it, we've got to mix it. That's a pretty tight turnaround. But the other thing is you're going to need to travel down here.
We can sort that.
I hope it'll be fun. I hope it's going to be... it's tight, but I
It's
think
going to be epic. It'll change the world.
Structure in music is a kind of storytelling for me. You present some musical ideas and then you take those ideas and the listener on a journey. So Cameron's come up with all these ideas for our Christmas symphony. Now we need to turn that into a coherent plan, a roadmap for our piece. So we've envisioned a 3-act structure, a dark, bubbling introduction leading into 2 verses that gradually build in intensity, but just as we reach that first climax, we're pulled back a bit through a mysterious, magical instrumental section. And that builds until a final, climactic 3rd verse, where all our themes come together. So the key to good structure is development. We're taking our musical ideas on a journey.
First thing I did was listen to every arrangement I could get my hands on, and the prevailing theme was that the harmonic structure pretty much stayed the same across them all. And that sounds something like this. But what I wanted to do was to pull people into this kind of darkness of the night, and so I took the same melody and stuck it over G sharp minor. Right from the beginning, I knew that I wanted the end of this track to be absolutely apocalyptic, that the tenor would plough back in after a really heartfelt, intense orchestral section with a key change.
But we don't want to spoil that moment just yet. I've booked the studio this morning. We've got about 4 days to make this work, so I've got to get producing and orchestrating everything, and you've got to get practicing that vocal that you've written for yourself. So Cameron now has to practice this insanely difficult vocal part he's written for himself. Meanwhile, my job now is to take this foundation and start orchestrating. I need to decide which instruments will play what, and how we can really maximize the emotional impact of each section. So I have a secret. I always dread day 1 of producing. You don't have your best ideas yet, you try things and it just feels lame, underwhelming, disappointing. And there's always this fear, every single project, that you'll never find that magic. Emotionally, the very beginning is always the hardest part to work through for me. And there's no easy answer to this. The reality I've found is you've just got to keep laying it brick by brick. And if you keep laying those bricks, then the house will slowly start to take shape. And as that house takes shape, it it'll become more obvious where you need to go next. So I need to bring this Christmas music to life, but all I have are these chords. Here's how I do that. The first thing I like to do is add some movement. I found that if you're just playing chords, it gets boring very quickly. It's very static. It lacks interest. It lacks soul. But if you start adding movement, then the whole thing comes to life, and it gives the instrument something more fun to do. So here's the movement I've added in today. The most important thing is that the movement can't overshadow the singer. The singer is the primary focus, and so it really is this balancing act of creating interest without overshadowing the main character. I got some lovely feedback from Cameron today. I think this is some of the best feedback I've ever had.
You've done some really fantastic work. I really love it. The beginning is absolutely stunning. The whole thing has a lot more movement in it than I thought it would. It's kind of happier than I thought it would be, and therefore Christmassy. That key change into D flat major is so like Polar Express. It's amazing. Here we go. Polar Express. In many olden days, when little Harry opened his book and saw that his grandparents had indeed bought him the gingerbread house. Is that, isn't it?
Today I'm going to start with something fun to get myself in the zone. So here's the piano sketch I was sent. So that first bit to me, obviously going to go in the trumpets and horns. Counter melody in trombones. I've got the strings and wind doing this swirling motion. And this small detail makes a huge difference for me. It's big church bells going. Here's a little challenge. See if you can spot all the Christmas Carol quotes we've snuck into this bit of music. So Cameron's finally coming over today, and I'm actually nervous. I've obviously been recording the highlights and the progress that we've made, but the truth is, I'm not finished. In fact, I'm nowhere near finished. There's still about 3 minutes left of music to produce, and we record tomorrow, so I am really feeling the pressure this morning. It's such a long and ambitious project. I think I may have been too overconfident, and I underestimated the time and energy it would take to finish this. But here we are. We've got to keep going. While we had been in good spirits for the first few days, the enormity of what was left to do was hitting us hard. There was just so much left to finish, and some of our favourite ideas just weren't working in context. As we worked longer and longer, the finish line kept looking further and further away. Also, Cameron had written the most challenging vocal he had ever had to sing, and one day before recording, we still weren't sure what part of his voice he was going to sing it in.
It doesn't have like the epicness to it. It needs to have the effort. It needs to sound...
When you're in the studio, I'm not sure what to tell you, because I don't know what the right answer is until I've heard it in context. The reality was, we had to record tomorrow, and the production just wasn't ready. So it was time for our first recording session, and things didn't really go to plan.
Bollocks.
Dear.
And then back in.
We had one day to figure things out before the next recording session. All through university and masters, there's always someone else having expectations of how things should be.
Yeah.
and I know you've had this in the past with singing, where as soon as you let go of that, you start to have fun with music again, and it stops being academic, and it's so fun again.
Yeah, and it connects with people much more readily as well. When you're just doing what like just comes naturally to you, you've done all of that groundwork that you don't really need to worry about it anymore. It's just all there already.
The voice that you've developed over the last 2-3 years, since you've forgotten about
Cambridge,
since you've let go of Cambridge choirs and everything. You can do it, and we heard that today, but I think now you know that when you go into the studio tomorrow, it's going to be different. I need to remember to have fun with it, and you need to embrace everything that is you. That little pep talk in the car actually helped us to realize something. We'd been thinking so hard about meeting deadlines and worrying about what other people would think of this music that, well, we forgot to just have fun, to just love the process of making music. And true success for us was creating something we were incredibly proud of, something that is a snapshot of who we are right now. And that shift in mindset changed everything. The process started flying again. And then it was time for our final recording session.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Saviour's birth.
We got the thumbs up from OCQ. I'm very happy.
Started a lot better than yesterday, I think.
Chains shall he break, for the child is our brother.
Got a bit of that Christmas Helden tenor in it. Do you know what I mean?
And soon, the only thing left to record was the final note.
Quiet, and then tank.
All night, div.
All night, div.
So, just barely, we had made it. It took all of our skill and just a little pressure to make it happen, but we produced something that we're very proud of. And just in time for Christmas, we've managed to make it available on all streaming services, so do have a listen. I think you'll enjoy it. Also, I'm documenting my whole journey as a producer on Instagram, and I'm going to continue to do so throughout next year as I collaborate with other artists on all sorts of projects. So if you want to keep up with more producing journeys like this one, you can follow me there. But now, I think you should listen to our symphonic version of O Holy Night on the best speakers or headphones you have available. I hope you enjoy it.